Rarely, if ever, has a player's no-show at a major tennis tournament been so noticeable or worrying. I'm talking about this year's Australian Open, but no, this story has nothing to do with Novak Djokovic. Much more sinister was the absence in Melbourne of Chinese tennis champion Peng Shuai. Concern about Peng Shuai's well-being was first raised when she disappeared late last year, almost immediately after publicly accusing a Communist Party leader of sexually assaulting her. After going missing for 3 weeks, she's now been seen at several carefully staged managed events, including the Winter Olympics. But Peng Shuai's reappearance has done little to convince the world she's okay, or that China respects human rights. It's November last year, and a young woman in China is taking an extraordinary risk.
I must tell the truth, even if it's like using an egg to hit a rock.
On social media, she's accusing one of the country's most powerful political leaders of sexual assault.
I didn't agree to it, and I kept crying.
It's a desperate effort to bring the Me Too movement to China, but it backfires spectacularly. Almost immediately, her lengthy post is scrubbed from the internet, and worse still, the woman vanishes as well.
It is the biggest cover-up in China.
The only reason we know about her post and her mysterious disappearance that followed is because the woman is not anonymous.
Peng Shuai!
She's tennis star Peng Shuai, a household name and hero in her homeland.
She's done it! The home favourite takes the title.
Can you foresee any way that we'll ever see Peng Shuai free again?
That's the tough question. That's the question that really is frightening. To think that a young woman in her 30s, because of something she posted about a relationship she had with a high-ranking official, that we may never see or hear free again is terrifying. This is 2022. It's frightening and it's sobering, but it's quite possibly we won't, and that's why I think I'm emotional right now.
Look, I just want to know exactly why Free Peng Shuai is controversial.
Now, a global campaign to get to the bottom of what really happened to Peng Shuai is getting louder. The athlete is seemingly the latest victim of the Communist Party's zero-tolerance approach to dissent.
Can't forget about it. We have to use our platforms as athletes.
And even with China's latest propaganda move this week parading the tennis star at the Beijing Winter Olympics, those that know her best are still fearing the worst.
The fact that she is not able to communicate is scaring me, and this is really not about tennis to me. It's all about her personal well-being.
It's bigger than tennis. This is someone's life.
Exactly. Yeah, and freedom.
I love tennis, I want to be on the court, and I just want to be happy on the court.
This is Peng Shuai at the Australian Open in 2018. Then China's #1 tennis player and ranked number 27 in the world.
Happy.
Melbourne Park was indeed a happy hunting ground for her. In 2017, she made it all the way to the doubles final with her partner, Andrea Lavatskyva.
Most of all, I want to thank and tell my partner that she did amazing these 2 weeks.
What do you think was the high point for you two as a combination?
Oh, for sure, Australian Open. We just played really well. Starting the season with the finals of a Grand Slam, there's not much more you can wish for.
And there wasn't much more Andrea could hope for in a partner.
She would finish her singles, she would go play doubles, and then she would go for 2-3 hours more for practice. And back again. Like, I'm not kidding, it was crazy.
She sounds so driven, so determined.
Yes, absolutely.
Fast forward to this year's Australian Open, and as the biggest names in tennis rolled into Melbourne Park, Peng Shuai was nowhere to be seen. Mystery has shrouded her whereabouts since November last year, when a scandalous post appeared on her verified account on Weibo, China's main social media platform.
I was so scared that afternoon. I had no idea that it would happen like that.
Her claims rocked China's political elite. She accused one of Xi Jinping's closest aides, then Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli, of forcing her into sex.
Why did you come back to find me again and take me to your home and pressure me to have sex with you?
It was not a one-off incident.
You said you loved me so much.
With the tennis star saying Gaoli, nearly 40 years her senior, had an extramarital affair with her for the better part of a decade.
We played chess, sang songs, played table tennis and billiards, as well as tennis.
And she knew airing these claims publicly would jeopardise her safety.
I must tell the truth, even if it's like using an egg to hit a rock, and a moth flying over the fire to end up killing itself.
When I heard, I was shocked. It's a sports star that everybody knows. And then it is a national leader. You have to put your life in danger to do something like that if you are still living in China. You'll disappear. Yeah. You'll be completely silenced.
Xiao Cheng is the founder and editor-in-chief of the China Digital Times, a website that monitors how the Chinese government censors the internet for its own citizens. And when it comes to the Communist Party shutting a story down, he's rarely seen it move as quickly as this. Within just 30 minutes, her post was mysteriously deleted, and it became impossible to search for the allegations on China's version of Google.
This generated a huge reaction in Chinese public. But of course, the Chinese censorship machine not only just delete anybody mention the word Peng Shuai or Zhang Gaoli or even tennis ball. Tennis disappeared, sports disappeared, vice premier disappeared.
It wasn't just the social media post that vanished. For weeks, so too did Peng Shuai. But according to Communist Party loyalist Victor Gao, there's no reason for any of us to worry. He refuses to believe Peng Shuai was sexually assaulted, and his reasons are controversial, to say the least.
She is a very successful athlete, and physically, she can handle many things better than many other women in China. I think, given her maturity of the mind and maturity of her physical condition, she can take care of herself, and she can defend herself in front of whatever man or persons in China.
I'm sorry, so you think because Peng Shuai is a professional athlete, fit and strong, that it's not possible for her to be sexually assaulted?
Physically, she is very strong. She is a very tall person. She is 175 centimeters. She is taller than I am. So for a person like my height, for example, trying to take advantage of Peng Shuai, forget about it. You are indulging in your fantasy, I would say. Whatever she did with the other person happened when she was way beyond 18 years old. And the incident reported on the internet did not happen just 1 week ago or 1 year ago. It happened several years ago.
So sorry.
And throughout this period of time, she was a free person. There was no sign of her being harassed or putting under duress.
But this is the very nature of sexual abuse. It often takes victims years to build up the strength, the courage to finally tell the truth and reveal what happened in these abusive relationships.
If you are talking about a minor, yes. If you are talking about a person in weak positions, yes, I agree. It does not apply to Peng Shuai.
But this is just the beginning of China's smoke and mirror tactics. The regime has rolled out one of its most extraordinary propaganda campaigns to cover up the case of Peng Shuai and has found an unlikely ally to help with the dirty work. You're watching China's propaganda machine in full flight. Peng Shuai smiling for cameras at a junior tennis tournament in Beijing. Last year, the tennis star went missing for weeks after publicly accusing a leading figure in China's Communist Party of sexual assault. But as international demands for proof of life grew louder, right on cue, she was rolled out for a series of stage-managed events in December. There was also vision of her at a dinner party, and a pro-Beijing outlet even had the athlete retract her own allegations.
一点是非常重要的，我从未说过、写过任何人性侵我，这一点是要非常强调清楚的。
This week, a team from French newspaper L'Equipe became the first impartial outsiders allowed to speak with Peng Shuai.
I'm not stupid. It's a communication plan. The Communist Party, the Chinese Olympic Committee, would like to show to Western people, okay, there is no problem with Peng Shuai.
Marc Van Tuyac was given 1 hour to ask questions, his photographer taking a picture of a smiling Peng Shuai in a Beijing hotel room. But look closely in the mirror and you see Chinese officials ominously watching on. Can you describe for us Peng Shuai's demeanour? Was she relaxed or did she seem quite cautious?
At the end of the question about tennis, she was relaxed. But then her feeling is that when we began to ask her a question about the affair, there is more tension. I must be very cautious. There is more tension in her mind.
Her answers about the affair, was she expansive or did she seem quite closed?
When I asked her how is her post on Weibo were deleted, and she said me, I deleted it. Okay, and I asked her, why do you decide it? Because I decided it, she said.
So did you feel for Peng Shuai? Was it like she was almost reading a script?
I'm sure that they prepare the interview and they prepare the answer.
When you say they, as in someone from the Communist Party prepared her for what to say?
It's the Communist Party, the Chinese Olympic Committee, I don't know, probably the Communist Party. But just my feeling, it's my opinion.
Mark says while he was thrilled to get the interview with Peng Shuai, his main motivation was to let the tennis star know that the rest of the world is still worried about her. Nevertheless, he left with the impression she is very much under the control of China's Communist Party.
And my regret is that I don't know what's happened after the interview when she leaves the room. If Peng was go freely and directly to his room, or if someone was waiting her, and what's happened then?
From what you're saying there, it doesn't sound like you were convinced afterwards that she was free.
I'm not sure she's free. And nobody can say she's free now. The government of China, I'm sorry, it's not a democracy like Australia or France. Everybody knows that.
The IOC has led with courage and fortitude.
China's used Beijing's Winter Olympics to deflect criticism of its handling of Peng Shuai's allegations. She's been photographed attending events and behind closed doors even met with IOC President Thomas Bach. It's not the first time he's been used to help push China's side of the story. Last December, with international concerns for the tennis star's safety and the Olympics only months away, Bach was rolled out for a video call with Peng Shuai, releasing only this single photo and a statement saying she was safe and well at her home.
It was clear it wasn't a normal, natural, free and open conversation. I felt like they were just a part of the Chinese government.
Tennis legend Pam Shriver believes the IOC's protection of its host nation, instead of three-time Olympian Peng Shuai, has been shameful. But it's perhaps not surprising, given the man accused of sexually assaulting Peng Shuai was pivotal in making these games happen. Before he retired, Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli was the face of his country's organising efforts, also meeting with IOC President Thomas Bach.
The IOC is kind of complicit as a partner in this. And, you know, I'm a gold medal Olympian, and I would like to think that of all the sports organizations that would really stand up, it would be the Olympic movement that is supposed to stand up for freedom and, making sports help open up societies and let people speak and be equal and free.
Do you feel a bit sick in your stomach seeing the way that they just rolled over and did China's dirty work?
Yeah, I was pretty upset at the Olympic movement. I donated my gold medal to Newport, Rhode Island, the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 1990, and I'm kind of just as glad I don't have my gold medal in my possession.
Well, some others have been happy to toe the party line for China. The WTA, the governing body of women's tennis, has commendably stood up to Beijing. While the Tennis Roadshow rolls on internationally, it won't be stopping in China this year, with the WTA sensationally suspending all tournaments in the country, foregoing tens of millions in revenue. Its CEO, Steve Simon, says he has serious doubts whether Peng Shuai is safe and free and not subject to coercion, censorship and intimidation.
China may organize its own version of the International Women's Tennis Association. So don't be shocked. When you disengage from China, that's not the end of the story. When you disengage from China, that may be the beginning of your nightmare.
Communist Party apparatchik Victor Gao embodies his government's playbook, not just on Peng Shuai, but most foreign diplomacy. A mix of charm, but also ominous threats about the price you'll pay for not siding with China.
Peng Shuai will have many, many years and decades of happy life, glorious life ahead of her. That's the most important thing.
If she toes the party line.
Party is important in China. There are more than 95 million party members in China, almost 3, if not 4 times larger than the population in Australia. This is the largest political force in mankind's history. Don't underestimate the Communist Party of China.
And they are asking our friend to take her shirt off. We're fine with the confiscation. We just want to know exactly why Free Peng Shuai is controversial.
But as you'll see, perhaps China has overestimated the willingness of people around the world to turn a blind eye to the plight of a tennis star whose disappearance and highly controlled reappearance represent something much more sinister. As the crowds poured into the women's final at the Australian Open, Ash Barty wasn't the only player on their minds.
This is Chinese. It means missing. Yellow ribbon symbolizes a missing person.
Outside the main entrance, there was a peaceful protest in support of Chinese star Peng Shuai.
I think it's a great cause and I bloody hope they find her.
Yeah, we do.
She went missing for weeks last November after posting allegations of sexual abuse against one of China's political elite online. Tennis fans remain gravely concerned for her safety.
Answer the question, where is she?
And so did those on the court, including former world #1 Naomi Osaka. You've been one of the more prominent voices on the issue surrounding Peng Shuai. I'm just interested to know why you have felt compelled to draw attention to this issue.
I feel like if I was in her position, I would want people to care for me too. So it's like one of those things. Like I imagine myself in her shoes, and in that way, it's a little bit scary. But you kind of want to lend your voice, and you want people to, ask the questions.
Doubles champion Nick Kyrgios also weighed in. I'm wondering how concerned you are about the situation with Peng Shuai in China.
I mean, yeah, that's something's obviously not right there. Can't forget about it. We have to use our platforms as athletes, and I think that was, I think we're obligated to do that. We're obligated to speak up and, get to the root of what's happening and why it's happening.
While players didn't hesitate to raise their voices, spectators trying to support Peng Shuai in the first week of the Australian Open were quickly shut down.
So you'd like her to take the shirt off? Can you just show us the shirt?
This group had their signs and shirts confiscated for breaking Tennis Australia's rules against political messaging.
Yeah, so it's being confiscated by the event management because it's too political.
A decision that disappointed some players, like France's Elisa Cornet.
When I heard that, I was surprised, and I think that everybody should be able to manifest their support to Peng Shuai.
With the tournament reportedly pocketing tens of millions of dollars in Chinese sponsorship, including on centre court, it took intense pressure from around the world to convince organisers to backflip on the ban just days later.
You always hope that maybe your business, your sport, in this case tennis, can maybe help change things. But then in the end, you kind of realize systems, maybe like the communist system in China, is really difficult to change.
These videos of Peng Shuai, released by China, do nothing to ease the concerns of tennis great Pam Shriver. While she's proud of the Women's Tennis Association for suspending tournaments in China, until it can hear from the athlete herself, Pam believes it should consider never going back. For so many big businesses, there's always that conundrum of the money or the morals. And most of the time, let's be honest, they go for the money. But women's tennis is going the other way. They're saying, no, we're standing up for what's right.
That's correct. I think in the end, it'll feel liberating because let's face it, at the end of the day, when you know somebody in the locker room, like these players know Peng Shuai, and you know that because of things that she said or posted in social media that she can't be free right now, that's a frightening thing for a woman to think about going into that country to play tennis.
China says that Peng Shuai is free. Do you buy that?
No.
Peng Shuai's former doubles partner, Andrea Hlavatskova, is these days enjoying her retirement in Prague. But as she gets on with life after tennis, she can't help but fear what's become of her friend.
I don't see her on social media. I don't see her communicating with WTA. So I don't have any sense of her freedom anywhere. So I don't think so.
For all the bravery of standing up to China, the sad reality is that mystery still surrounds the plight of Peng Shuai, and that could be the case for the rest of her life.
I didn't know I was going to get teary, but I just that thought of are we ever going to see her again? It's terrible. And I turned 60 this year. And to think that this is happening, in 2022 is just stinks.
Hello, I'm Tom Steinfort. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our Extra Minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au, as well as the 9Now app.